Today I'm going to be making some fake rock retaining walls slash basking areas in my outdoor Blue Tongue Skink enclosures. In these pits I have this area towards the back, this kind of retaining wall of rocks here, and it's a little bit higher on that side. But I do think it looks a little bit thrown together and I want to make it look a bit more, I guess, professional. So what we're going to do is sort of take out these rocks, dig it out a bit, make it a bit more extreme, and then I'm going to actually do some mock rock work in this area to make it look a bit more natural. So after pouring out the wet cement mix and giving it a basic shape, I usually leave it to sit for a few hours until I can come back and carve in the details with a few basic tools. So of course first I have a trowel. That's great for making lines and cracks and digging out pieces and doing all sorts. This is going to be your main tool. But from there as well I'll use other things for texture, like this paint roller that's got old sand and cement and stuff stuck to it, so it has a bit of a texture and a real good ability to flatten things out. I find having a variety of different paint brushes is really important. Some you can use to sort of dimple in onto the rock surface for more of a textured effect. Other ones are great for knocking out any dust and loose bits from cracks and lines that you're trying to make, and others are good for, again, smoothing things over and adding more different details that you wouldn't be able to do otherwise. So a variety of different paint brushes is essential. It is quite a long process making mock rocks in this fashion, but there is quite a lot of benefits to it. The first being it takes quite a long time to dry, so you have plenty of opportunities to go back and change something if you don't like it. All you have to do is smooth it over again with the trowel, add a bit of water to it to help loosen it up a bit, and go for your life carving away again, finding exactly the right thing that's suiting the look that you're after. Now that the rock is all carved and dry, we can move on to painting. I keep painting quite simple these days. Usually I just dilute some acrylic or oxide powders into some water and then use a spray bottle to apply it. I find it gives a really good effect, it gives it some nice texture, and we can work through different layers through this means. Now when it comes to the actual colouring, I like to start with dark colours and work my way up to light. So for this first layer I usually hit it with a nice black colour. That'll really get into all the cracks and crevices, add extra depth to the rock work, and then it's a good framework for you to build on top of. Mixes of oranges, browns, reds or greens, depending on what sort of colour rock you're going for. And then after that, once you've got your different layers of colour, I actually like to go back over it again with a little bit of black, just to tie it all back together, and it really gives it a nice texture too. And with this particular project, I did actually experiment with trying to add on some lichen spots or some little mossy parts onto the rock. And with that I just used some different variances of white paint, green paint, and different levels of water dilution as well, to give a bit of a scattered effect that is a little bit different. Now unfortunately this did wash off with a bit of rain over time, but it gives an interesting look and just something else to try in the future. So now that we've finished making our rock, we're actually going to cover up the edges. I've already gotten rid of all the excess bits of concrete that were there, all the big stuff. Now I'm going to get my Wash Sydney sand here. We're going to actually disguise a lot of these edges with a good bit of sand. And then we'll throw our mulch and everything on top of that. So that way it'll look disguised and it'll look like there's a massive bedrock sort of protruding up out of the ground, and it'll complete that look. Months, the enclosures have definitely grown back in and the rock work is holding up great, and with those plants all around it, everything going as it should, it just looks so much better than it did before. The paint's holding up well, lizards are always out basking on them and climbing around on it, and I can't be happier. They really have turned out amazing, and it just makes it that much nicer when you come up here, have a bit of a look, and you see something that is just a bit more natural, even though it is a little bit more hidden nowadays. This one though, we have just chopped this plant back. You can see it's still looking awesome. There's a little blotchy tail right there. Now I'm stoked with how these have turned out, but the work never stops here, so I'll see you in the next video.